You could do that.
Welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with Julia and Philip Siracusa. Sponsored by Carnation. Airing live on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. This show's opening has been produced, edited, narrated by Gwen Luckett at gluckett.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Philip Siracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. We love them. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate in chat. Go over to the YouTube page, UFO Paranormal Radio, and go over to all of our Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Horsefly Chronicles Radio, SoundCloud, Podbeam, Twitch, and all of the Facebook stations. So today, guys, we have a full house. So I want to please welcome to the show some pretty amazing mediums and paranormal investigators that have been to our house here in Eastern PA, the Horsefly Chronicles House. Tonight we're going to dive deep into the experiences here that they had and kind of like what happened to them when they were here, what the experiences and their opinions about really kind of like what's going on here. Tonight we have Katie Peck, Elizabeth Marroquin, Mary Francesca, Vanessa Hogle, and Andrea Maria. So welcome everybody to the show.
Hi, thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
This has this is such a great energy about the show already. So there's a couple of people in chat. We got a Facebook user. You have to give StreamYard permission to see your name in chat. Gina, hello. So, I want everybody just to tell us a little bit about themselves before, we start right into it. So who wants to go first? I'm going to pick. Andrea, you go
I knew
first.
you were coming. I saw you looking. I felt you. Felt it.
Vanessa, but I was going for you first.
No, it's always me. It's always my fault anyway. I'm Andrea Maria from Staten Island, originally from Brooklyn. I was born with a gift. I use it to help people, not to profit or for any type of self, I guess, whatever. I use it as a gift. I choose it as a gift. Have deep roots in Salem and pretty cool kid.
Gee, you are very, very gifted. I think you are a lot gifted than you let on. Katie, tell us about yourself.
I am from Albany, New York, born and raised. I was raised in a haunted house and I had no idea. I figured just stuff moved and, you heard voices and smelled bacon cooking on a Sunday morning when no one else was awake. I figured that was totally normal until I started watching shows and realized it wasn't. It was normal for me. I've had one medium in my parents' house that said, wow, this is like living at Grand Central Station. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But I started investigating a couple years ago when I met John Griffin. I was watching a show and was like, there's no way this dude actually lives 10 minutes from me. And lo and behold, he did. So I've met some pretty incredible people like my buddy Elizabeth down there. And, you know, she's been helping me hone in on some gifts, and we'll see what the future holds.
Yes, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I love you. She knows this. Tell me tell everybody about you. What do you do?
Well, there's not a whole lot about me. So I actually am from California, but I live in Maryland. I'm retired from the military here about a year ago now, and have stayed here. I am lucky enough to be a member of the UNI research team and always working on my intuition and my gifts. And really, I've been blessed to get better with hearing the messages as I receive them, and sometimes whether or not I like it.
Yeah, they don't give us that option sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, go ahead.
I was born in Brooklyn and grew up in Staten Island like you. And yeah, I grew up in South Beach. But I also grew up in a very haunted house. So, you know, I started experiencing things at a very young age also. And I started doing readings when I was pretty young, but, you know, for my family. But as I got older, my gift grew a lot stronger. So I try to help people when I can, you know, either with, you know, connecting with loved ones, or if they have disturbances in their house, you know, things like that. But I do, like, the goal really is to help people and comfort them if you can. And, you know, mostly that's pretty much what I do.
Thank you. Phil, you're awfully quiet then. Do you want to say anything?
Hi. Oh, I'm just observing and enjoying everybody.
I almost said it with you.
He looks a little nervous. Vanessa.
No, I'm good.
He's intimidated by all these women in the
same room. Phil gets upset. She gets nervous. Too many powers going on with all of us here, guys.
We got to rein
Too
it
many
in.
witches.
There's never too many witches, Phil.
Never.
Love it.
Okay, Reader's Digest condensed version. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. My name is Vanessa Hogle. Talked to dead people since I was about 2. My grandmother was my first one. I've worked with the police, finding missing persons, and I've written 8 books and traveled the world telling ghost stories, real ones, and a tarot reader, and that stuff too. I caught it.
We have quite a few people in chat, so I just want to say hello to everybody in chat. I do see you, Deanna. There's someone saying hello to Vanessa. It's coming up Facebook users. So sometimes if they don't give StreamYard permission to see their name in chat, as everybody knows, it'll come up Facebook user. But there are people in there. Vanessa, you've got a few fans, so.
Oh, well, bless them. I love my misguided souls.
You know, tonight, me and Phil, really, we wanted to put a show together, something different. I love panel shows because I just think it's fun. And we wanted to put something together where we had a lot of people that have been here and like what their experiences were. A lot of people had the same but different, but the same but different. So, I mean, I don't even know who to go. Phil, why don't you pick? Because I'm doing a lot of talking. Why don't you pick who should go first to tell?
Yeah, you're doing really good, by the way. Well, I'm actually in the darkest room in the house. So I think that something else is watching the show with me right now. Vanessa, I'm in that room in the basement that you were in, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I got company. You know, the Horsefly Chronicles home, we didn't plan on buying a haunted house, you know. And the one thing is, each and every one of you has a gift and a quality. And I know some of you from personal experiences, and some of you have been to the home as investigators or psychics and mediums. And I like the fact that we're doing this panel show because it's different perspectives and beliefs and what we really think is happening here. So with that said, Katie and Elizabeth, I think you were the last ones here as investigators. So why don't we start with you? And I know that was a pretty wild time here when you were here, like some of the things that we were getting. So you two talk about your experiences and what your thoughts are.
I remember the last time we were there, we did the, actually in that room, we did a candle kind of seance, and we're just trying to connect with whoever was down there and, see if we could get some yes or no. And we had those flames pretty high, and it's dizzying and it's chaotic. And, you think just when you've got a couple answers, something else happens, and, you're constantly being distracted. We're constantly having to go in and out of the room, and, it's chaos. It's an organized chaos. And like I said, I've never, every time I go someplace, I try to do something different. And that candle thing that we had done was definitely a challenge for me because I had never done it, but also, just trying to hone in and learn about my own abilities. But I just remember trying to figure out what was there and how to communicate with it respectfully and how to talk to everything else and feel protected and safe. But also, you guys live there, so it's not upsetting what's there. And I feel like that's just baseline for anybody's home that you go in or any location, is that you don't want to piss things off, to upset things. And it's always a fine line of, I want answers, but you guys have to live there. So Elizabeth, if you want to kind of chime in on the rest of that.
Yeah, so the one thing I keep being brought back to is when we did it. I don't know that I would call it a seance because it didn't feel like a seance. I had never done anything like it. We basically, for those, because you guys weren't there with us, we used crystals, specific crystals around, and made a triangle and then put 2 candles in the middle. And the request was that they use the crystals to get the energy and to give us whatever images that they wanted to give us of where they were from, why they were there, or if there was a purpose for them being there. And the main thing that I keep being drawn to was it felt as though as I was transported and shown all of these rapid images really fast of Egyptian time and just this massive entity that basically said they were beyond existence. And the feeling of this entity, because he really saw, I say he, but I couldn't say it's a he because it felt like omnipresence that literally was, I am greater than anything that is here. So you can ask me all of these questions, but you don't understand the breadth of what it is that I am capable of.
When you were there, did you see that, like an apparition or something of that person you saw, or you just felt?
So when the first time I was there, because that experience was this last time, the first time I was there, when I walked in, I saw what looked like to me a lizard person.
Yeah.
And he was standing.
That's the face, Julie.
In that corner.
He was standing and he was staring at me, and he was basically like, "This is my spot. What the heck are you doing in here?"
And that you could see him.
And I could, like, he showed it. I'm here. Like, that's all there was to it. The second time, I didn't physically, like, so when I say see, I'm not talking like I'm looking at you, right?
I know.
The second time, I didn't see anything. It was the presence. It was, I knew.
Right.
I knew. Right. And I could not tell you what he looked like because that's not what he wanted to show me.
I'm going to jump in here and confirm something of what you just said. When I was there forever ago, was it 2016, Julia? 17?
2017, when we were getting ready to go, to Staten Island.
Yes, for the anniversary of Holly Ann's passing or disappearance. Phil knows and Julia knows exactly what I'm going to talk about right here. to bring up the Egyptian part, I was in that room filming using a pendulum. And Phil, do you remember what my face took on the shape of? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
We have it on
exactly, but
film.
I remember the Egyptian.
It was
the Egyptian stuff.
It was a cat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And we caught it live on video. And that was about the point where I had to exit the room. That was enough. I was good. But I think you've hit the nail on the head when you talk about an omnipresence, because it is, I think that's where we get a lot of things confused, is we assume if it isn't what we know as human, that it must be something that is horrible, when in fact, just because one retains power doesn't mean that it is negative. And that was what I felt in there, was what made me need to leave the room wasn't fear of what would happen to me, but it was so much power that it was just a little much for me.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel the least bit ashamed in admitting that. That was a lot to feel around me, in me, on me, everything, because that's
I had to
essentially
go
what it is.
upstairs because I felt the same way. I actually felt like physically sick. Like my
Yes.
equilibrium was off in that basement. I don't know if that happened to any of you guys, where you
But it-
felt dizzy and a little bit nauseous. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you take that same notion and you use it with people that are living today with an energy that you don't necessarily align with immediately, you can have that same reaction to a living person that you run into at Walmart. Just on a different level, you know? So I love the fact that you went back twice. I can't wait till I can go back again. But it's weird. It's like the more exposure, the more understanding happens. And I think that's the whole purpose, is to get to that understanding and find a commonality and find some type of, you know, not necessarily simpatico relationship between the two, but kinda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I have
So,
a question for everyone. Do you think that I'm going to say there's a lot of things here that they show different people different things?
Well, it showed itself to me. Remember, I said it looked like a buffalo to me. You guys are saying something like a lizard. So I don't think it shows, maybe it shows itself in different forms to, you know, different people.
So I've never been to the house, but I've always tried to call in on every time, even that when you guys had that, the dinner, I think there was like a dinner of sorts you guys had that night. And every time I tried to call in, it would never let me call in. And then a couple of times when I did call in, it would show me Julie's face or Phil's face as this like Egyptian lizard looking thing. That's why when she had mentioned it and I asked you for that reason, I have screenshot pictures that I have to find that I took of Julie and Phil's face with this. It was electronic. It looked like pixelated almost, but it was not them, and I caught it on film. So I will send you those pictures when I find them.
And it's not surprising when let's go ahead and just say it. It might feel like one thing, but you have to look at it as the many things that comprise the one thing. So you will find that in any deity. You will find that in anything that is otherworldly. It is not singular as we appear. So when you have what we think should be singular, but it's multifaceted, it's going to show itself to each individual person in the way that it thinks that individual person can accept, can tolerate, and can understand.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like when you talk about all the different gods. If you talk about all the different gods, all those gods have different personalities, which make up what others would consider a singular god.
It's a more universal kind of thing.
Well,
But,
it showed itself to me before I even got there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
right.
it was a very threatening presence. Like it didn't want me to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole drive there, the radio in the car was going crazy.
May I ask you
It was
something in
going, the
regards to that?
volume was going up, the volume was going down. It was changing channels like crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it does show itself in different ways.
Well,
Did any of you, well, Mary kind of just answered it, but did all of you have any kind of visitation before you came here?
oh, 100%. But can we
Yeah.
address that actual event just real quick? What if I told you, Mary, that it wasn't that was showing you and trying to cause you fear, but your
protection.
guides trying to protect you from going to a situation that they might be uncomfortable with?
Could be.
Could be,
I'm not
but
saying that's what it
But
was, but it's a
I
definite
didn't let it
option.
intimidate me.
Exactly.
Of
And it could have
course
been a
not.
test.
it could be, and I would think like someone who doesn't have gifts. I mean, we've done so many readings that they can actually get scared by their guides. I think that for us, we wouldn't get scared because we're so, we're mediums and psychics, and I think that the difference if it was your spirit guide or if it was a visitation. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fewer things are scarier than my protective grandmother, who died when I was 2. So I mean, people have tried to perform Reiki on me and actually had to call me and tell me to give her permission to let them through.
Amazing.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we have these tests from our guides, guides, God, deities, loved ones, whomever it is. I think sometimes their protective instincts kick in and want to keep us from experiencing something that, let's just face it, y'all, we do as good as we can, but we don't have the full mental capacity to truly understand what is out there. We don't.
Yeah.
And any one of us who says that we completely get it, we are so full of it, it's not even funny.
We
Anyone
all
that
said
says
at
that.
the same time, we were all like, dude.
Yeah.
We
I
never
sure as heck
controlled
don't have it
that.
all figured out.
No way.
No. You definitely end
So,
up with more.
Has everybody been in that room that Phil's in now?
No.
Everybody's been
I've
in there?
never been. The one time I was going to come to the house, I got a flat tire. And the other time I was going to come, I got violently ill, which is what you guys were saying before.
Yeah. Yeah,
Violently
me
ill,
too.
didn't come. I had to cancel last minute. I never got to their house. And I have a
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. I literally have to drive past their house to go to my Pennsylvania house. And I've never gotten there.
Wow.
They don't want me.
I think it tries to keep a lot of us away. But yeah, that room is crazy. There's like a lot going on in there.
And we can't tell you how many people, like you said, Andrea, have been in that situation and tried to come here and just couldn't get here. It's either their GPS took them the wrong way, accidents, and you name it, it has happened.
It's true. It's scary.
Phil, what is your...
Let's, I want to break this down into the pattern of what it does and what everybody's opinion is and thoughts on it, okay? Because there is a pattern, because we live here, we know the pattern. So one of the patterns is, to some of us, like myself, it'll show as a black orb the size of a cantaloupe floating through the air, and you think it's the lighting or the bulbs, and it's really quick. And when that happens, you start to take in this negative feeling and negative thoughts. Now, when Katie and Elizabeth were here from the paranormal team in the basement, we were sitting in a circle in the basement and we were doing some kind of exercise. And all of a sudden, I felt this evilness come within me, thinking these violent things as it was being recorded. And then I started to notice the other pattern is it stops certain people from coming to the home. And if they do make it here, it's like their equilibrium bounces off, and sometimes they could be the nicest people and go into the rage of, I want to fight everybody in the house. And it's happened multiple times to us. So it seems to me that it doesn't really play nice. It's kind of like you're on my turf. And look, we're all grown-ups here, and some people may say, well, it's make-believe and it doesn't exist. Look, everyone on this platform is respectable, and, you know, we all hold positions within the life circle of we see what we see and we tell it the way it is. And I'm no expert, you know, I don't know. I can't label anything. I do know that it can show a negative presence. Now, Vanessa, you said something that did ring true. You know, it may show different people different things, right? It may show one person, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who was supposed to come here. It showed her as the jinn, which I really wasn't grasping, the jinn. It showed Ralph Sarchi from the Demon Files as an actual entity. It shows people different things. Some people see a little boy or a little girl, and some of those pictures have been caught. And again, we could say they're optical illusions or a matrixing of the camera. But then when you have certain recordings behind it, you really can't debunk it. But then when the person's being affected by it, then you say, well, what's going on here? Now, we have seen people, I don't know if I believe in coincidences, but some people may say, the skeptic would say there are coincidences. People who have new cars who left here during an event that we've had years ago, all of a sudden the car don't start. Another person's 2 blocks away and gets into a car accident on their way home. Another person has a heart attack. Are these things that the skeptic would say are coincidence because this thing doesn't want you to know what it really is, so it masks itself into, I cannot show you what I truly am, but I have the power to do anything I want. And it's proven, you know, I hate to say it, but it's proven that its capabilities are, sometimes we really don't understand what we're dealing with here. You know, and again, the house was labeled as a demon house by the first paranormal investigators. Now, look, demon goes a long way because we look at Amityville and The Exorcist and we think that people's heads are going to spin, all that stuff. It has that presence maybe to certain people that it tries to scare them. Where other people, they may say, hey, you're my friend. I want to teach you something, like when we had Kris Moon here and Denise Garcia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's address probably the most important aspect of everything you just said. This thing. Who says it's just one?
It's
Okay. Yeah. It is so not just one. And no offense to anyone, self included, because I'm not going to offend myself, but no offense to anyone who has been there or who has tried to go there. Although, Andrea, I think that you were being protected by your own personal guides, and that is for different reasons that actually have nothing to do with the house, but what you could take home from the house. And you know that, you know, I'm right. Okay. But I think, based on what I know of situations from people that had been to the house, that had certain things happen to them, either going to or leaving from, where we talked about this thing or things, multidimensional, multifaceted, multiple in number. Know who you are the moment your mind sets to come. They know what your truest intent is on the inside. They know what you secretly plan to do with the information. And Julia can back me up on this, because I can't believe I'm going to say this publicly, but I'm going to, Julia. This is a secret you and I have carried for a long time. You had a particular person that was coming to your home that was supposed to leave and go to another place on a particular special occasion to see another facility, who wasn't able to leave your property. Do you remember, Julia?
No.
The candle magic. So he couldn't leave.
Wait. Stop. Listen,
Remember?
I got short-term memory loss, so
this was on the most haunted night, the ghost hunting, like for everybody, all of
National Ghost Hunting Day.
Yes. Yes.
We can
So
say his name.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to or not.
I think we can. Right, Phil? I mean,
yeah, but my point is from bringing that up.
Yeah.
this thing or things is going to try to keep anybody away.
Absolutely.
It's going to try to keep people away that can take it on.
Mhm.
And it's not. It's allowing people that can understand and that can communicate with it or see it better. It's allowing us in. No, please, no offense, Andrea, because you know why.
No, none
Okay,
taken at all.
you know why.
I know.
So to me, that's a whole different way of looking at it. Is when whatever this is allows those that can bring a better understanding of it, allows them in to communicate, to observe, to interact, and then to tell others. If it allows that, the ones it's not allowing, wonder about them. Wonder what was in their heart, what their true intentions were.
That's a very, very good point. I want to hear two people's opinions about that. One is going to be Elizabeth. I want to hear your opinion about what you just said.
So I will say this whole entire time, my head has been hurting so bad, and my face is very hot. So
Yeah.
it didn't
And
start,
the
I don't
why
think,
I'm
until
asking this question is because I know what you told me. You told me that it's hiding from me. Well, we say it because I don't even know why we do, but we know that it's way more than one thing. I mean, this is like grand central statement. Many, 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 many things, but I don't even know why we say it, but we do. But you did say there's something, Elizabeth, hiding from me. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel like, and I know that I said this when I first walked into that house and they walked downstairs and Phil had that whole, I don't know that she's really a medium look about him and walking down because, he's, as he is, should be a skeptic, of course. And so I walked down and the first thing I feel is I looked around and there are so many different dimensions here. And
That's
so
true.
to the point to where everyone is saying, oh, well, I saw this, or I saw that, or I saw this and this. Well, that's because we're walking into different dimensions as we're going through that house. And you can sit there or stand there or whatever, and you're
And you see
literally
people
being
from different time
transported.
periods also.
Yeah, from one thing to the next. And it just blows your mind.
Yeah.
And then
I saw that in Phil's old house from the guy that we discussed last time. The body that you had dug up that time when you were a kid. And I had seen him.
That's right. Well, yeah, it wasn't a kid.
We spoke of it briefly last time. We were like, you were like, wait, you saw him? I was like, yes, I did when we were like 18. And we just discussed this like a year ago.
That's awesome. It's
Different
when you go down there,
That's true.
just everything that's happening. And when it comes to things that are hiding versus not, it becomes the question of, is it because they're not ready to see or to feel or to experience this? So I'm watching. Then you have to ask, are these protectors of a certain situation or a certain place? That was one thing that when I walked out and I looked around, I was told that I needed to bring an offering there and I didn't know why. So I had to go then that caused me to go look up the history because I was like, why do I feel like I need to bring an offering there so that they know that I mean only good. And I was told you need
That's
to
true
make sure to
because
tell them.
I told Julia that she needed to plant something. Didn't I tell you that, like as an offering?
Yeah, it's just the intent and the purpose that you're there. And so it just became this has indigenous people background and a very bloody history background. And then you start to think, okay, well, if this land has that background, what can I do to help impact it or affect it?
Real quick to hop in, you mentioned offering. Julia, I just got to tell you because it just came to me and I don't know why, and it's not Egyptian at all. You need to get milk thistle and dry it, and then grind milk thistle.
Okay.
And dry it, and grind it up once it's dried. If you got to put that bitch in the air, in the air fryer, do that, okay, and dry it up. I didn't catch it, but I tried. And then burn it and put it around the perimeter. So you're going to need quite a bit. Carry on.
Yeah, I also felt the same way that it was. I got a Native American presence, and I said the same thing that you did, that it's tied to the land.
100%.
But also, what they have there is a doorway where there's a lot of passing throughs. There's people that don't stay; they just come through. There's some that are there all the time, and then there's a lot that are just coming through.
If you take what you were saying about the dimensions, the best way I can describe it is take the entire downstairs, especially, slice it like you would a pizza or a pie, but then layer it like a lasagna, and then put it on an axis and spin it.
Pretty much.
Right.
You never know which one you're going to get.
Right.
That's true. Phil, I want to go back. I want to go back to how there's been so many questions about why don't you move and why don't you get people in there to get rid of it. I mean, let's go into that a little bit and talk about what happened, Phil, when we did get people in here to try to remove this thing. We say thing again. That's hypothetical because we know it's more.
I think that's it's just going to anger it. Plus, it's tied to the land, not the house.
Well, who thinks that they have more strength than something that is umpteen thousand years old, more than likely? And like I said, multidimensional and multifaceted. You know what? I don't have the juice for that.
No.
That's right. Wilfred has that knowledge too. Carrying it with him.
We've tried. The only people that get punished are us. So at some point, you just have to say, F it.
Right. Like you said, they have to live there. Like you originally said in the beginning, they have to live there.
And it isn't easy because you have to play psychiatrist. Who's fighting with who? Is it boys? Is it something else? It's like, and over the years, I think we've learned how to, I want to say, manipulate it back a little bit, if that would make any sense. But Phil, what do you think?
I want to jump in really quick and say that in 2013, something, when something tells you to do something through your mind. So something told me to play the song Ave Maria, which is a beautiful song. And I'm up alone. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I put it on YouTube and I play Ave Maria. And then about 30 seconds into the song, the chandelier in the foyer starts swaying, which is a very large chandelier. And, well, I'm a big baby, so I ran to bed really quick upstairs and put the blankets on my head and said, how the hell is this possible? And I'm thinking maybe it's affecting its religion. Maybe it has something to do with religion, whatever the hell's in this house. But then we had priest here, and the priest from the Catholic Church, nothing happens. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Phil, you need to go look up what the music frequency is for Ave Maria.
The hertz.
The music
you need
frequency?
to look up. You need to look up the hertz of Ave Maria. If it is 833 hertz, that will affect that energy differently. If it's 932 hertz, it will affect it differently. If it's 275 hertz, it'll affect it differently. So you need to. This is a good thing. What you just said is a good thing. You need to know this. When you start having activity, try different music. No words preferably, unless it's something like Ave Maria, which is more monotone, in where you can't truly where you truly can't understand what they're saying, but it's more of a feeling. And do that music throughout the house and register that energy and see what it feels like and if it alters it, because everything is on an energetic wave. Everything.
True.
Plants are, people are, everything is. Find what hertz affects the energy, and it will affect this energy this way and this energy this way. Start keeping a record of that. You're going to come up with some really significant answers. That's why that
Elizabeth,
music affects
language too.
What? Bill, what did you say?
When Elizabeth and Katie were here, I think Elizabeth had said that in the basement about the Indian drum beats and something like that, or hitting a different frequency that a shaman would
Binaural drum beats
use.
would work well. Binaural drum beats, they would work really well.
When we did our thing, Elizabeth, didn't we use drum beats? Because that
Oh,
was the
I
other
could
thing I was
hear,
going
I
to
could hear
say.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing I was going to say was when, Phil, do you know when you were playing Ave Maria, was it a Latin version? Was it English
No,
words? Like,
it was a unique version by this person called Celtic Woman.
oh yeah.
Oh,
So it's probably the Latin.
It
It was
was
probably
really,
Latin.
Uh-oh.
it was a really good song the way she did it, and the
Yeah.
music behind it, but it triggered it off.
Mhm.
And but
well,
again,
that
maybe it's not the actual religious song. Maybe it's that, like you're saying, that
Mhm.
frequency that hurts,
It's the
right?
frequency. When it is exceptionally active, use a lower frequency.
Mhm.
So it might be based on the energy in your house, your children, you. I have to say it. If Julie is hormonal, if there's limestone around your house, all of these things affect it. Has there been major thunderstorms that have the power with the electricity, with the lightning, with water that also carries energy? All of these things have outward effects on that. So if you find that you're experiencing a higher level of energy, use a lower level frequency to stabilize it.
See, and that's that you mentioned water. I believe that they have water that runs underneath the house.
100%.
And I think that has a lot to do with it also.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. And here's another question too. Now, I remember Vanessa when you were coming down the street for the first time. I think you told me you weren't with me. I think my son and Phil, they picked you up at the airport.
Mhm.
And I remember you saying to me that it was the whole block is like a mess.
Mhm.
There was domestic violence, this, that, this, that, this, that. Now I also agree with that. I don't think that it is just our house. I
No,
think that our
no.
house should be the hub of it all, but it's a lot. It's a lot. You can feel it.
Mhm.
Well, and another thing is too that there's always like everybody's moving.
Mhm.
Um, so they don't really last very long. Maybe like 5 years or 6 years or 2 years or we've been here the longest. To be honest, in the
Mhm.
whole there's only one person on this block that's been here longer than us.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, it's the whole neighborhood. I just think they don't know it. They're just not. They don't know what's going on.
They're not in tune to it. They don't know what's
Mhm.
going on. They don't know
Right.
the vibrations. They're not familiar with any of it. They're not looking for it. So they don't know.
Well,
Well,
They
and
think it's their life happenings now.
if the energy affects them a different way, they might turn to drinking, they might turn to gambling, they might turn to, sexual prowess. They might do those things, which in turn are going to give the same result
right.
as
And it
being
breaks up relationships. It loves to do that. That could
exactly.
be another reason, why people don't last long,
Mhm.
because it causes fighting in
Yep.
the house. I know the house I grew up in, people would fight all the time in the house
Mhm.
because that's what it likes to divide people. So
Absolutely.
that could be a big reason why people don't stick around too long.
Don't. And it's a nice
The
neighborhood. It's not,
energies.
It is a nice neighborhood.
it's a very new. It's not an old neighborhood. That they did nobody lasts, and it's not just like our block too. It's like it's the whole development. To
It
be honest,
goes past. If you were to walk out the back of your house, it goes 2 streets back, 2 streets to the left of your house, 3 streets to the right of your house, and then 3 streets in front of your house. That's essentially
Mhm.
where it goes, and it starts at your house and it spans out like a spider web.
the
Oh
funny
yeah, you
thing,
feel it a lot when you go outside into the yard. I know I
Mhm.
did.
yeah, there was more than I know. Vanessa, you ran to the shed first, but I think there was someone else that did too. You ran to the shed first, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's icky.
And goes back to, again, the other question is, why don't you move? It isn't easy to move because every time we try, what happens, Phil? Something happens that
It's smart. It's very intelligent, and I hate to say it, but it knows your move before you make it. It knows how to stop you, and it knows how to change your thought pattern. You could be thinking one thing, and all of a sudden you're like, well, nah, it's a bad idea. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to move. We had David Spinks here, was one of the first investigators here, and he's like, why am I thinking certain things? And all of a sudden, I'm not thinking anything. I don't even know what to think. It throws you off in your thought pattern. And when Brian Cano was here from his TV show, when he was here, I asked him, we were alone in the basement. I says, what do you think is here? He says, I think this house is on a giant portal. And I can't understand why. And I would agree with that. Now, earlier in the show, we talked about making an offering. Well, in 2017, we did an offering, and this is exactly what happened. Julie was told to put down in the basement a couple of things for an offering, and then come back a few hours later. So we went back a few hours later together, and I started taking pictures in the dark before we would turn the lights on. What I caught, and I did capture, is the top of a goat head coming from the floor. Now, we could say, well, it's an optical illusion. No, it is what it is. It's got a full description of exactly what it is. Now, why is that? I don't know, but it was another trigger towards it. It's kind of like you're feeding me. So then there's so much in paranormal and supernatural that there's no science behind this. Then I thought maybe it's the goat man, but that didn't make any sense. And maybe it's something to do with the goat man. And that doesn't make any sense, but yet it has the head of a goat. And I say, why? But now, in 2019, there was a TV show being filmed down here, and we had the film guy didn't believe in anything. And he stands in the exact spot filming, and all of a sudden he starts screaming. He gets a burn in the back of his neck, and it's a hoof print. Now, this is a non-believer of paranormal. He's just a film guy. And how do you explain that?
You're going to get mad at me when I tell you.
It's the wrong offering.
It was wrong offering, and it was comedic to the being, because it was a joke. Because what so many people don't understand is a goat head means squat. That is something that was thought up by the Catholic Church in order to place fear into people. It was meant to represent an upside down pentacle or pentagram, which is meant to indicate evil. Nothing could be further from the truth. A pentagram or a pinnacle is earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. That is all it is. It is all it is. That's how you draw the corners. That's how you retain energy. That's how you draw energy to you. That's how you talk to the gods. That's how you do your offerings. That's how you cast your circle. All of that. Anyone that has even a thimble of the amount of knowledge of witchcraft knows that. Catholic Church, when they're trying to get rid of pagans, which, by the way, only means country dweller. That's all it means. That's a definition of the term pagan. They came up with all these different stories of evil in order to run pagans out, because they didn't have the money to pay the taxes and the tariff to the Catholic Church, because they were still under the barter system. They were under the trade system. Here's a blanket. I need a goat. So that is, while I understand, it is Hollywood. And for the being to do that.
But the goat head that was caught on film is not Hollywood, because we've seen it. And the fact that the guy got the hook in the back of his neck.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you didn't see it. I'm not saying you didn't see it. You saw it. And that happened to the guy. What I'm saying is the being thinks it's comical.
Well, to certain people, but maybe to other people, it's, again, religion is a form of control. I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole because we only have 10 minutes left. But the fact that it showed itself as what it is, and then multiple people throughout the years here that lived in the case with us have heard hoof prints walking on the floor. Whether we believe or don't believe in what the Catholic Church or whatever was told and taught back in the day, it seems to be that it can represent itself according to the belief of the person.
Agreed.
It shows you in a way that makes you fearful, because evil feeds off of fear. So if you're a healed Catholic, it's going to be anything that would be the 10 Commandments that would have made me fearful. Now, being who I am, you can say that to me and I'm going to go, and like, I don't
Exactly.
care. So whoever, whatever it fear, like, if you, I have a healthy fear of snakes. What, to me, the best way to scare the crap out of me and get me off your property, show me a giant snake, put that in my head, do anything that it's going to do. It just wants to scare you. So she's right. Like, this thing was like, oh, you want to be fearful? I know what's going to fear.
Exactly.
And this is why I think everybody has different ways of seeing it. Why kind of Elizabeth and I saw it as this Egyptian, lizard thing, where you saw it as a bite, a buffalo, is this, is that. It's what can I do that's big and scary to intimidate you? Because then it goes, oh, here's a giant battery. I just scared the crap out of these women or men. Now they're going to spend the night there. They're going to be here for a couple hours. It just plugged in its battery and went,
it tilted. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's kind of like the movie The Craft. Yeah. When all that was happening. For me, small spaces and spiders. You want to terrify me, small spaces and spiders. Anything else I can handle.
Yeah, I'll flip you for it. I'll go into the small space with the spiders, you deal with the snakes.
Raising a hand. Me too, same.
And also, I don't know if you guys were recording, but I did. And when I left, all I got was a lot of foul language. A lot.
So one of the last times that
I don't
we
know
were
if any of
there,
you guys got the same thing.
so the last time that we were there, all that recording we did, Phil, it all got erased.
Always happens with Phil. That always happens.
I have one photo. So I was recording that entire thing that John had done, and it was one photo underneath the chandelier that I was able to capture. All of the audio or all of the video was completely gone. I have audio still. Then the thing that Elizabeth and I did in that room, I have that, but everything else was wiped.
Well, yeah, see, on mine, all you couldn't hear us, but all I could hear was a man's deep voice, just a lot of foul language, and that was it.
And don't forget one really important factor. If the door is open for beings like that, it's open for everybody. So you might get the douche canoe that worked at the gas station 2 miles down the street that was mean as a snake, a drunk on the weekends, beat his family. He passed away because a car fell on him, and he decides he's going to come strolling through your basement.
That's right. Tonight's his night.
Like crazy.
That is true. Like I said before, it's like a hub. It's like the train station, and for some reason they just come through, and we've seen things like that. We've seen so many different, so much stuff.
Well, and that's the one thing that.
What I was going to say is what we have discovered tonight, which rings true in this whole show, is that I'm in an agreement, because we do live here, is that it changes form according to the belief or the fear that the person has. Because a few years ago, we had True Ghost Stories here filming a TV episode, and the guy says, I hate snakes. Hate snakes. He was afraid of snakes. And Julie, what was in the basement the next day?
A snake.
Remember that huge snake that we caught? Or those glue traps?
I have no idea.
What this thing does is it raises upon your fear of thought. And that's what we've learned tonight. I've learned especially that. So then if we're dealing with something it's like the magician. You have a fear of this, I'm going to give you this. If you have a fear of that, if you are afraid of certain things, I'm going to show it to you. And maybe these are the scare tactics to say, stay the hell out of here.
True. And the thing is, regular ghosts will do the same damn thing.
Yep.
Right.
They will do the same thing. I mean, I was banging my head against a wall in Ireland, nauseous, couldn't see, blind as a bat. yelling out, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry." The bread is moldy. The bread is moldy. These were children making me sick.
Yeah.
These were children that died in the famine making me sick. Get back to my motel room. The same loaf of bread I'd been eating on that morning, completely covered in mold.
Wow.
Photographic evidence of that. So the thing is, it's like I said, the biggest thing, just like with any type of divination, any type of investigation, if you open a door, or if the door is opened for you, not accusing y'all of opening anything, but if you open a door, the door is open for you. It is a revolving door.
True.
And it's not a segregated door like would have been back in the 50s, whites only, blacks only. It is not a segregated door. Anything can walk through that. So try that frequency and see if that works.
It's going to end in like a few minutes, but I want to go back to the beginning of this little. I understand what you're saying, like, a door could have been opened and all of that, but let's go back to like when we first moved here, how it was perfectly fine. Nothing was open, nothing was done, no fighting, no yelling, no nothing. Happy family. 6 months in, things started to happen, and you have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, what door was open then? There's nothing
Who
open.
said you were the one that opened the door?
Yeah.
It could have been your neighbor.
It could have been anything or anyone.
It could have been anything or
didn't
anyone.
understand what they were doing as far as when they did
I think it was always there.
Well, yeah,
I think it was on its best behavior.
I want to go back to what Mary just said. I think it was always there because the people that we bought this house from were horrendous. And there was just absolutely no reason why. And we could never figure it out. And we kind of like forgot about it until we
And also, you guys are in tune. So, I mean, you're like a light to them. So, of course, it's more active with people like us.
Right. And we always say that, the house kind of chooses you. Maybe you don't choose the house.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in chat. Gina, Robert, thanks for joining us. Deanna, Cindy, thank you. I do see you guys in there. I wish we could have another show. I mean, it was really fun and interesting.
It's definitely interesting, and I like there's a lot of
different point of views and stuff.
That's why I wanted to do this.
I like that.
Similar, but very different. But,
we're a different mask.
We're a family. We have to live here, and everyone's gonna have different opinions, and that's what makes the world go round.
That's right.
Each opinion leads to a different answer, and all those answers put together help tremendously.
Yeah, look at all the things we've done. We've bounced off of each other with certain things. You guys were together, and I wasn't, and I made a phone call or I shot you guys a text, and you were like, wait a minute, what? And like you put something together, and I was miles away and had no idea where and what you guys were doing, and it was what it was. It was like your piece, and I didn't know what the piece was, but I had one piece, and I didn't know where it belonged.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, when, how. None of us really do. On some level, I guess we do, but
not one person has all the answers. It's moments like this that bring the answer.
I love that. I love the troubleshooting. I love the back and forth.
Anyone that says they have all the answers, run that way. You'll see a Vanessa-sized hole in a wall away from them. Okay,
even if you're related to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no expert in any of this, and in every show and everything we do, we just end up with more questions than answers, and I guess
that's the cool stuff.
We need to get all you guys here. I want to get everybody into that house.
We should.
I would love to do
house
that.
would explode. The house would blow up. It's
I'll bring all my protection. We'll be okay.
Yeah. No goodness.
Phil, do you have anything to say before we close the show?
Thank you, each and every one of you. It's been a great show with a lot of knowledge. For the listener, please share it. Each one of these people, very talented, have been to the home. Andrea's been a family friend for a long time. I believe that she has gifts like we're talking about, and it's like everyone's a piece of the puzzle to knowledge in the spiritual realm. So thank you, everybody. And,
My mom
you know,
wants to
if
say
you just
hi.
want to do a quick wrap up.
Say hi to Mama. She
Hello,
wanted to see
beautiful.
you,
It's
Phil.
been
I'm
years,
sorry.
and I hope you're doing well. Hi. Great person, Jean. Thank you.
Oh,
And she makes the best covered chocolate strawberries I've ever had.
Oh,
Never
wow.
forgot that.
I live in Florida. Send them.
I could bring him to Salem.
Oh, yeah.
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 before we get kicked off, I just want to say special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show from day one. We love them. Thank you, and join us again next Monday night at the same time at 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from New Orleans. So thank you, girls, so much for joining us.
Thank you,
tonight.
guys. Thank you
You're
for having us.
welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.